Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So, let me set the scene for you all here. When we're talking about any type of NFL football game, when we're talking about any type of matchup, NFL analysts are always going to try and find what I'd like to call hidden nuggets that, either people don't know exist, overlook, whatever have you. And when it comes to trying to find these hidden nuggets, sometimes it can be a little bit, difficult. That is, of course, if you don't know where to look. Now, for me, I try to find these things because I believe not only, one, they're interesting talking points, but at the same time, they can potentially provide insights as to what we could see happen on game day. Now, the Lions, we know, are getting set to play against the Vikings on Sunday at Ford Field. And if there's one thing we also know is that the Vikings are a team that's reeling, and they're currently at the bottom of the NFC North standings. And what they're hoping for is that bringing in J.J. McCarthy to replace Carson Wentz, who's been replacing him, will somehow give them a much-needed spark to potentially get back on the right track. I'm just going to say this right now. Even though this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this episode, I don't think bringing in McCarthy is going to change the Vikings' fortunes, as their offense, first and foremost, is very anemic up front. So much so that Wentz, who, that McCarthy is now replacing, is quite literally now done for the year after only 5 games that he's played. I mean, you have to think about it. For a quarterback like Wentz, who's played, a long time in the NFL, he's used to playing, he's used to the, rigors and the physical demands of the sport and what the job entails. The fact that after 5 games of being continuously harassed and beat up, that ought to tell you just how bad this offensive line is. And it's like, okay, Wentz is a veteran quarterback, he knows what to look for, he knows how to handle his business. If after 5 games, he is now having to have season-ending IR injury on his shoulder because of the physical toll and damage he had to have done on him over those 5 games, I don't think a rookie quarterback, in essence, who's literally had, less than 50 quarterback, throws or attempts over the course of his career, is going to make much difference. Even if this is a guy that has a pretty damn good pedigree coming from Michigan, even though this is a guy that is more talented as far as the physical gifts are concerned than Wentz. So, with the Vikings offense sinking further and further into the quicksand of NFL irrelevancy, that then leaves the Vikings defense. Now, their defense has been doing their best to keep the team in position to win games. However, the defense can only do so much. The defense has struggled to do this against teams that are, number one, not only good overall, but at the same time, in most cases, have pretty damn good offenses. And now, they're getting set to play against another such team in the Lions, because the Lions are one of those teams. We're a really damn good team overall, and we have one of the best offenses in the NFL. But what makes this situation even more interesting is a little known or talked about fact that people have not noticed yet. And I believe it could be very important to understanding what we could see from the Lions when we play on Sunday against the Vikings at Ford Field. And it all centers around the current situation that the Lions find themselves currently in, which is coming off the bye week. For any team, we already know that the bye week is important for resting and getting players healthy as they continue on into the season. And as I've said before, the bye weeks can start as early as week 5 for a team, or they can be as late as week 14. That's the span and breadth of when teams can have bye weeks, per the NFL rules. And while the position of the bye week itself plays an important factor in how much benefit it gives to a team for the remainder of their schedule, one thing all teams benefit from is that week of rest to refocus and get healthy. And for the Lions, this is especially true. If you take a look over the last 2 years, so 2023 and 2024, the Lions have shown that coming off the bye week, they have the ability to be particularly lethal in this regard. Let me show you exactly what I mean. First, let's look at not only the leader of the offense, but the leader of the team overall, which is Jared Goff. Goff coming out of the bye has been an absolute surgeon over the last couple of years. Let me show you exactly how particularly deadly he has been. Let's go back to 2023. If you take a look at Jared Goff's stats in the game that immediately happened after the Lions' bye week, this is what Jared Goff did. He was 23 of 33 for 69.7 completion percentage rate, 333 yards, 10.1 an average per throw, had 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 122.4 passer rating with a 79.1 QBR. If I recall correctly, that was when we played the Chargers. So that's 2023. Goff had a pretty damn good game that week. Let's now move to the next year, which is 2024. In 2024, Jared Goff's stats were this in the game after the bye week, which, if I again recall correctly, this game was when we played against, I believe, the Dallas Cowboys. If you take a look at those stats, Jared Goff was 18 of 25 in that game for 72 completion percentage rate, 315 yards for 12.6 an average a throw, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 153.7 passer rating with a 66.9 QBR. Okay, so in 2023, Jared Goff comes out of the bye week, has a spectacular game. 2024, coming out of the bye week, Jared Goff has a spectacular game. When you put those two games together and you take a look at how Jared Goff has done coming out of the bye week for 2023 and 2024, this is what you get. For the last 2 years, when Jared Goff comes out of the bye week and then plays the next opponent, which, let's understand something here, both of those times that the Lions have come out of the bye week, they had to go on the road to the other team's home place and play them, because we had to go to Dallas and play the Cowboys there, and we had to go to Los Angeles and play the Chargers there. Goff has been 41 of 58 for 70.7 completion percentage rate, 648 yards for 11.2 an average a throw, 5 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, with 136.3 passer rating, and an estimated, that's why that star's there, 72 QBR overall. Okay, so Jared Goff coming out of the bye week over the last 2 years has been remarkably damn good. And on top of that, the last 2 years when we've come out of the bye week, we've had to travel to somebody else's place to play. That right there ought to tell you something very important. If the quarterback is able to come out of the bye week, refocused, re-energized, has everything now fine-tuned and ready to rock and roll for the next part of the season, that's already a good indicator of what you could potentially expect coming into this game that we're now going to be playing at home against a reeling frickin' Vikings team. Think about that. That's important. But there's more here. So don't just tune me out yet. Don't just, decide that, okay, I've gotten the message, I'm going to leave, because there is more. Because now let me include this little tidbit of information. Again, going back to since 2023, if you take a look at how the Lions have performed over the first 4 games coming out of the bye week, so we're talking 2023 and 2024, that's a total of 8 games. You take a look at those first 4 games in 2023 and 2024, you want to know what the Lions' record has been coming out of the bye week? They've been 7-1. They've won 7 out of their 8 games coming out of the bye week. That's damn impressive. And then it gets even better. With that impressive record, they averaged 32 points a game in 2023 and 39 points a game in 2024, which over those 2 years combined means they're averaging about 36 points a game coming out of the bye week for the first month. For the Lions offense, that's particularly impressive because most teams on average do not get 30 points a game. But for a team to do it over a prolonged period of time, so we're talking about a month after the bye week, and then on top of that, you're doing it for a 2-year period, that makes it even doubly more so impressive. But wait, there's even more. Trust me, when I do episodes like this, I go all in. Because now let's take a look at the even more in-depth breakdown, which makes it even more ridiculously impressive. Again, trying to incentivize you guys to stay through the entire course of the video here. When you take a look at the Detroit Lions in-depth stat breakdown offensively for 2023 and 2024 coming out of the bye week, this is what you see. And again, this is over the course of those 4 games. For 2023, in terms of their pass yards, for those 4 games, they almost had 1,100 passing yards. That's about 271 average per game. 8 passing touchdowns. That's 2 an average per game. A 66.4 completion percentage rate. They had a passer rating of 100.4. They then, on top of that, had rush yard totals of 597. That's 149 on average a game. A rush average of 5.3 in average. And then they had 8 rushing touchdowns for 2 an average a game. So that's 2023, okay? Then you move from 2023 and you take a look at 2024. Now, in 2024, the passing numbers are dramatically different. And the reason for that is because there were 2 particular games where the Lions didn't really need to pass the ball all that much. And if I recall correctly, that was the game against both the Packers and the Titans where pretty much Goff didn't have to throw the ball maybe, like 15, 20 times a game? Which for most quarterbacks, that's kind of on the low side. But in 2024, Jared Goff's passing yards, or the offensive passing yards, were 753 passing yards, which is 188 average per game. That's ridiculously low. They had 9 passing touchdowns. Again, 2 an average a game, slightly up, but I rounded down so that way it's a nice even number. 80.5 completion percentage rate per game. 137.2 passer rating over that 4-week span. They had 616 rushing yards over that 4-week span, which averaged to 154 yards a game. 5.2 average a rush, with 7 rushing touchdowns, which again is about 2 an average a game. Slightly a little bit less than 2, but again, I rounded up. So again, what you're seeing there is that not only has Goff, coming out of the bye week, been remarkably lethal, deadly, a surgeon in terms of being able to play at a high level, but the offense as a whole has been doing this. Not just passing, but also rushing. Think about it. For the last 2 years, over the first 4 weeks coming out of the bye, the Lions have rushed pretty much 600 yards each of those 2 years for those 4 games. So that's 8 games in total. That's 1,200 yards of rushing in those 8 games. That's ridiculous. And then again, both of those sets of 4 games to make up the 8 games total, Jared Goff is passing over 100 passer rating in those 8 games. Completing pretty much, if you were to average it out, well over 70% of his passes. Also, on top of that, having if you want to do the numbers, I think it's what? I think Jared Goff in 2023 had 3 interceptions to 8 touchdowns, and then in 2024 had no interceptions to 9. So 9 plus 8, that's 17 out of 3 interceptions. So 17 to 3, that's what? Almost a freaking, I would say 6 to 1 touchdown interception ratio. That's crazy. The efficiency that the Lions are operating when they come out of the bye is absolutely off the damn charts. I mean, you want to talk about an offensive explosion coming out of the bye, whether it's Jared Goff or the offense in total, the Lions have definitely been able to do that over the last 2 years. And not only have they been a scoring machine, as I've already pointed out, but, I mean, for crying out loud, like I said, they've been insanely efficient and good with the football, which is a big reason why over those last 2 years when they played those 8 games, they have a 7-1 record. When you consider everything I've just presented, along with the fact that the Vikings are going to be on the road, they're going to have to simplify their offense for a quarterback that's coming back from injury that has not played in over a month, and then on top of that, their defense is playing against an overpowered, rejuvenated, refocused, fine-tuned Lions offense coming off the bye that has the track record that it has with Goff as well. For the last 2 years, the Vikings could be in for a very long day in the Motor City. Because you're talking about a quarterback that's playing at the height of his powers right now and has been for the last couple of years coming out of the bye. You're talking about an offense that for the last couple of years coming out of the bye has been playing absolutely lights out. You're talking about a team that is coming into a very hostile, very volatile, very loud, raucous environment here in Detroit that is currently reeling, that has lost a lot of games that it should probably have not have lost if we're talking about based off of last year's team. And on top of that, their quarterback is nowhere near as settled in a position as to where it should be. This is a team where it's like, okay, yeah, this could be a very long day for the Vikings. Because not only do you have a Vikings offensive line, which is really bad, that's going to be going against, in essence, a rookie quarterback, that they're going to have to simplify the offense to make it better for him. Which then on top of that, you're going up against a top 5 pass rushing unit in terms of sacks. But then on top of that, you're going up against an offense that is absolutely as ridiculously overpowered as we are, that's coming out of a bye week, playing at home and has had a chance to fine-tune, rejuvenate, get healthy, the whole 9 yards, going up against a divisional opponent. Which, by the way, the last time we played a divisional opponent at home, we absolutely spanked the ever-living ass off of them 52-21. And as much as I don't want to admit it, the Bears are a better team than the Vikings are. So it's like, okay, if we did that to the Bears, what in the hell do you think is going to happen when we play against the Vikings Sunday afternoon in Ford Field? Especially after we've had a week to refocus and revitalize ourselves. Just calling it for what it is, folks. But anyway, I've said my piece. So I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things, like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you enjoyed the content, I hope to gain your subscription if I'd not yet done so already. But if you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you not yet had a chance to do so, want to encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content I push out. Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.